Hello and welcome to another episode of the East London Sport Podcast. Yet again, I have a sensational athlete with me today. I have Amy Conroy. Amy, how are you?
I am great, thank you, and really excited to chat to you today.
Thank you very much. For those who may not know, Amy competes in wheelchair basketball and also has captained her country, which I'm sure is great fun. But I feel like one place we have to start is how this journey started off. So I heard that back in the day you were a sporty child. How did that come about?
Yeah, so if we go back to the two-leg days, as I'm now an amputee. So I was, always really sporty as a kid, went for all the school sports teams, whether I was good or not. And my dreams were kind of to be a runner or a dancer. And then it was a pain in my knee that kind of, for a course of about a year, back and forth to the doctors, getting sent away, being like, oh, it's flat feet, it's sports sprain. And then finally, I started collapsing, like it's swollen up so much, my knee. It couldn't bend, sit in the back seat of a car anymore. And I just started high school and started collapsing. And I remember one time, very vividly, I collapsed, my knee kept giving way and I kept falling back over and I had to crawl to the nearest building. And I remember a guy that I fancied at the time was there. So none of that was ideal. At that point, it was like, enough is enough. My dignity is compromised here. And my dad took me to A&E the next day. And that's when I was diagnosed with cancer. Because it had been diagnosed late, it spread quite a bit to various places. So I was given a 50% chance of survival. But I do just remember at the time kind of hearing the word cancer and thinking kind of, oh, cripes. Like to me at the time, it meant death. My grandparents, my mum, my uncle had all died from cancer. So I kind of thought, this is it. I'm going to die at 13. But let me know if I'm waffling too much. But I went to hospital the next day. I was given a wheelchair kind of then and there and didn't end up walking again for the next couple of years. Had chemotherapy, had some touch and go times, things got a bit sticky, leg amputation, and then was given the all clear about a year later. And then that was when I found wheelchair basketball.
So, I mean, even that was already quite the start. So you mentioned at the time that, hearing that word, obviously there weren't any positives to come from it. So was that something at the time that was on your mind, even as a child? I was trying to gain from this viewpoint that, even when you were that young, was it something that you saw as something so serious?
Like I remember being in that doctor's office and my dad had got called out to speak to doctor first. And even when he came back in, he looked like he'd been crying. He didn't make eye contact with me and the atmosphere was so solemn straight away. I was like, okay, this isn't good. I didn't know quite how kind of tricky the situation was. But my dad stayed with me the entire year in hospital, my absolute hero and role model, and he is the most positive, strong guy. Like, as my mum was kind of dying of cancer, he was looking after her, raising me and my younger sister as a single parent, working full time, and I could toot his horn all day. He is brilliant, but I think I learned a lot from him about positivity that year.
That's lovely. I mean, I was going to ask, when you started taking part in wheelchair basketball, I believe was the age of 14. Correct me if I'm wrong.
About 14, I came out of hospital, maybe 15. At 14, I was still in the bald, braces, glasses, big wheelchair, very self-conscious kind of days. So probably 15, we'll say.
Okay. Well, I believe from your own words that you were terrible, quote, when you started.
Yeah, I was tragic. Yeah. Do you want me
to
chat on that? Oh.
Well, I was just going to say, I heard that what helped you get on your way were the three musketeers, so to speak, of yourself, your father, and your sister. How's that, like it being like a family effort, like a support network to kind of help you get through and ultimately, get you where you are now?
I mean, it sounds sickeningly wholesome, but kind of, I do kind of owe everything to those guys, even straight from first coming out of hospital. My dad was there helping me learn to rewalk, and he was the one who first suggested wheelchair basketball. And at the time, I just thought, I still hadn't accepted my leg. I really wanted to be seen as normal, whatever that is. And so I thought, I spent all this time learning to walk. I don't want to be thinking myself as being disabled. Sporting a wheelchair is going to be lame, is what I thought. But then he dragged me there. We had a special code word that I'd ring him and be like, pick me up, Dad, if I needed it. my famous last words, it was not lame at all. It is aggressive, fast-paced, and I was terrible. I couldn't reach the hoop at all, but he kept taking me back, and it was him kind of giving up his evenings, rebounding for me, late nights, outdoor courts, all my misses, dog poo on my wheels, kind of all the way right from the beginning stage when I had this big dream of playing for GB. And I asked him since, like, did you think I'd actually manage it? And his loving words were, God, no, you were hopeless. So even he was just there every night, kind of with me through the journey, through not being selected to being selected all the way through the last, well, 2 Paralympics, no crowd at the third. And my sister as well. She started playing. She might sign for the Phoenix team. Yeah, she loves
Nice. Fingers crossed. Yeah.
That'd be brilliant. But yeah, there are obviously lows in sport, and kind of having a solid family there supporting you through the not as great times means a lot to me.
You mentioned the fact that you were thinking about, it's like at the time, at least, you were worried about taking part in disabled sport. Was that something that you found easy to find going into wheelchair basketball, or like disabled / para sporting opportunities, or is it something that you kind of had to dig for?
So I think things have gotten so much better now with awareness, especially all the guys, everything you guys at Phoenix are doing. So excited by that. But yeah, at the time, I guess social media wasn't as big a thing. So I wasn't aware of any other sports. I never tried any others. I'd always wanted to learn to run again, but blades were really are really expensive. So I kind of gave up on that for quite a few years. And yeah, I didn't know kind of anything about it. I'd never really met anyone with one leg before. Probably one of the reasons why I was so kind of self-conscious wearing jeans to training. Like, people who play basketball, you don't wear jeans. It's just not a thing you do. But to hide my leg, I would never take it off. So yeah, I guess awareness is massive in helping people kind of accept their disabilities, as it really isn't anything. Everyone has insecurities, and disability should never be one of those. But yeah, I think in social media is helping people find more sports. 2012 Channel 4 coverage of Paralympics was brilliant in more awareness, but I just think the more awareness the better. As cheesy as it sounds, it really can be life-changing. Finding a good sport, whether you play recreationally or take it to a higher level, team or individual, can do a lot for you.
No, definitely across the board, any sport, like 100%, like you've even raised, just being part of a team, having similar people around you. And so moving on, you know, you started playing, you've had the helping hand to help build you up ability wise. You've obviously, since you've mentioned, competed at Paralympic Games. I believe you're now co-captain of the GB team.
Yeah, so in Tokyo, I'm taking a month break now, just because I never have, just to kind of settle into London, try new things for a month, get my full motivation back. But I'll be back in January, ready for the World Championships next year. But yeah, I did in Tokyo, yeah.
And so, like, in that kind of like journey of starting to compete, I'm presuming at club level and going to the internationals, what were the highlights? Like, what are the things that you look back on and you think, you know what, I'm glad I did that? Like, even just trying out, even just being there.
I think for GB, one of my absolute highlights will be our senior world championships in 2018, as we went into that absolute underdogs. I think we had a 9-game losing streak going into it for warm up, and that's not a warm up, is it? That is, you're colder than when you started. That was, so we went into that kind of, we still kind of backed ourselves, but it was like, and we got to the semi-finals against Germany, and they'd been in every single major final for the last 10 years, Paralympic world. We were the underdogs, their home crowd. We'd lost to them all year, quite dramatically. And we just really kind of gave it everything, and we're up by 20 points at halftime, and then ended up going on to win silver. And I think just that story of kind of trusting in yourself and your teammates and your hard work when it matters most, and just going for it, and resilience within that, is just quite a powerful thing to look back on. So I think that has to be one of my highlights.
100%. I mean, you mentioned the 9-loss streak. This can be applied to yourself in this situation, but also perhaps life as a whole. How do you personally bounce back from tough situations like that? Because I feel like at some point, maybe after the 9th loss, I'm going to presume morale was not high. But the
It was
fact that you
not.
were able to rebound in such a good way, and even like I said, elsewhere in your life, you've rebounded from tough situations. Like, how is there any tips? Is there any advice you can give off about how you do jump over that wall?
I guess I'd approach it quite differently with its sport or life outside. So which would you rather go down?
You
Um,
can tell us both. Why not?
I guess within sport, I think motivation is brilliant, but I don't think you can solely rely on it because it's not realistic. Like at 5:45 every morning, you're not going to realistically be like, "Whoa, let's go, let's smash the gym." So I think sometimes having like what your why is, like what is your why? Why do you want what you want? Why is this your dream? For times when things are tough, to really dig deep and push yourself that extra gym session down to the extra rep. So I think having a why and keep checking in with that, and it might change over the years. Mine has, but I think that's pretty powerful within sport or business or for dreams. But I guess within life, I guess I learned from a young age that there are always going to be tough times, and that is the nature of life. Like times will be cushy and it'll be up and down, and just kind of so much good can come from the tough times because you gain that resilience that will then be with you later on. And smaller things that might have bothered you previously or other people won't anymore because you kind of have that trust in yourself. Like you've impressed yourself, you can be proud of yourself. Like I made it through that. Like self hype. Just I'm a big fan of positivity. I know it sounds really cliche, but I just think kind of focusing on what you can do and what you have rather than what you've lost is such a good way to be happy, and
Mm-hmm.
gratitude, all the great things that you have, and catching yourself when you're kind of thinking negatively, just flipping on its head and like, are you making an excuse with this? Like, is this going to stop you? So I guess just challenging yourself, but also kind of being kind to yourself. And yeah, I think just knowing that tough times do pass, and it's a chance to really impress yourself when you get through.
I love that. I mean, even your mention of self-hype, I feel like that can be transferred just across any environment. Like even myself, who knows, could have a tough day at work or a tough day outside. And that idea you've mentioned of thinking, you know what, if you drag yourself over this, you can look back and think, you know what, I did that. And it really does. I mean, from my point of view, at least, really can provide a springboard for far better things to come.
100%, yeah. And just like, why would you kind of be the one holding yourself back? Like, be your own hype man, believe in yourself. Because I nearly stopped playing wheelchair basketball when a coach told me I'd have to take my leg off to play, and I just thought, nah, I'm way too embarrassed, and genuinely was just going to not carry on with this dream. And ever since then, I'm just kind of a big fan of not letting kind of insecurities or what ifs or what if someone thinks this, says this, self-doubt, like let you limit your dreams or goals. Like if someone else can do it, why can't you just back yourself and go for it, put the work in? If it doesn't play out, then you'll have no regrets because you gave everything. Like you gave your dream, you can justify it to yourself. You kind of gave it every opportunity to happen. Yeah. And London definitely feels like a place where people have big dreams and just go for life and up for stuff. So I'm living for it.
No, definitely. I mean, as I said, I just think that's great that, I mean, on one end, it shows that athletes and people higher up, such as yourself, we are all humans at the end of the day. I think it's great that people wherever they are can listen to what you've just said, and I'm sure I'm not the only person that think, I can relate to this, I can relate to that. But you've mentioned London, crucially, because speaking of great times, you've joined the East London Phoenix, which not only is a promising move for yourself in terms of wheelchair basketball, but yeah, completely new living environment. What are you looking forward to most? Like even off court, what are you looking forward to most in London?
I think, if I'm honest, I didn't put too much planning into moving here. None of my teammates did. Kind of from GB, they all went to London together, Loughborough together. So I think, firstly, I'm just going to move here, see what happens, go for everything. I'm going through a bit of a phase of just saying yes to everything and seeing what happens, magic or tragic. But I think meeting people. I don't know what I'm looking forward to because I don't know what it's going to pan out like. My last few weeks have been incredibly random. I met a guy on a tube on one of my first days, and I thought, oh, he's just being friendly, like you make friends on the tube. So I kind of gave my number because he said he was a businessman. And then we ended up going for a meeting, a business meeting. I was like, is this normal? Everyone was like, that's weird, don't do that. He's about 60, don't. And I did, and it was great. And we're going to work together. I think just kind of maybe be a bit more responsible than that, but just going for stuff. And then, yeah, seeing what happens.
That's so
And
funny.
so built up for life here.
Yeah. I
And just
mean,
got to be. It's a cool place.
from what I understand, were you from Norwich?
Yes, originally.
So I actually spent 4 years in Norwich because I went to UEA.
Yay! Oh,
Um,
yay! That was where I used to train. Yeah,
really at Sports Park.
yeah. Well, I used to train with the lights off to save money back in the early days. Oh, what do you think of Norwich?
I thought it was nice. I can definitely see it as a place that I'd like to go back to. Like, obviously there are differences between Norwich and London, and I think that's what I was going to ask you next from your point of view. Is there anything, obviously you've only just moved to London, but is there anything about Norwich that you miss, that you feel you could, put in your pocket and take with you wherever you go?
Well, my dad's still in Norwich, so I
Mm.
think he's the best part of Norwich for me. It just feels like such a wholesome place, doesn't it? When you
Mm.
drive there and you see that the fine city, welcome. I don't know. I mean, everyone in Norwich does seem really friendly, and I've heard kind of people in London weren't, but I haven't seen that yet. I feel like on the whole, if you're kind of friendly to people and throw out an odd genuine compliment or smile, people seem to be really nice back. So I haven't seen that side yet. Maybe I'm just still kind of naive in the honeymoon phase of being here. But I guess the busyness of here seems like people are quite non-stop, and this London burnout is a real thing. Honestly, I am having so much caffeine, it's ridiculous. I think it's a problem.
Yeah. I feel like in Norwich, apart from that stretch going around Castle Meadow where there's just like all the buses, all the cars, I feel elsewhere everything is definitely more chill.
It is, yeah.
Um,
Whereas there's always something happening in London, like, oh, Brittany brunch, yeah, go on then. Drunken golf, sure. So yeah.
Yeah, it is different. It is different, but like even going on to the court, Phoenix wise, what are you looking forward to most there?
Oh, I'm so excited. So many things. I think playing with new, cause I've been centralized with the GB girls for forever, for like, oh God, 8 years maybe, just following that round. So I guess the freedom to kind of move to London and have almost like a fresh start with new teammates, I think that'd be brilliant. Everyone's on maybe slightly different kind of journey with it. Some people haven't been in a chair for a few years because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
People have different dreams, like as in they want to make GB or play for fun. So I think just a whole new group of people, new attitudes is so refreshing. Everyone, most importantly, is so like motivated and just lovely and fun. So I think the off-court vibes are going to be brilliant, and help on court. It just seems
Mm-hmm.
really teamly, the kind of I've got your back, you've got mine. Let's go and win this. Yeah, so I think I've been speaking to a few kind of international players, and I think down the line, lots of people are going to want to come.
Let's hope so.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like it's going to become a really big thing, and I'm so excited to be an OG here in the first season.
One of the few that are providing the lift off for the Phoenix.
Yeah.
But
Sorry,
especially,
what you said. I pretended I heard what you said, but I didn't hear what you said.
that's fine. That's completely fine. But especially for the league, like the first of its kind, certainly for the UK. What are the big benefits you can see coming from that?
Oh, so many. I think just firstly, thank you to all you guys for making kind of female disability sport the first franchise. Like that's incredible. And I'm so passionate about the game, but the fact that other people kind of believe in it and think it's a good game as well makes me really happy. I guess the awareness of it, I think games are possibly going to be streamed, they're going to get crowds, just getting more people in playing, because if you're able-bodied you can play, like anyone watching this or listening, like come and try it. It is a great game. So I think, yeah, getting more people involved would be brilliant, awareness of the sport. And this is the first kind of Premier Women's League or professional league in the world. So kind of, if anyone's going to start it, why don't we do it here and make it really good? And I feel like
Right.
London is massive kind of over the next coming years, because why would you not want to move here? It's so exciting.
Well, that's what I've been telling all my friends in Norwich for
Yeah.
years. So I'm glad that as someone who also comes from that fine city, you
Yeah.
can keep tooting that horn as well too.
Yeah.
So as well as obviously playing, I found out you've recently become an ambassador for, well, fairly recently, an ambassador for Champion Health. And so I saw that their motto was making all areas of well-being inclusive and accessible. What do you think? I mean, obviously it's an important cause, but why do you think it's so important? Like whether that's relating back to how you felt when you obviously had your change in situation, or even now?
I think I first, obviously, mental health, everyone has mental health, just like physical health. And I love how kind of the stigma that was around it for a while is now being challenged, because obviously life can be tough. So everyone can struggle at times. And there is absolutely no shame in that. Like, it's really brave to speak up. And although saying that, kind of, it was only really during COVID that I kind of had an attitude of being like, it's okay to say when things are a bit tough. As before then, I just thought, well, I, love positivity and resilience, to be inauthentic of me, like, I'm fine, I don't want to whine about it. But it was when kind of my dad got really sick throughout COVID, not because of COVID, but unfortunate timing. And it was just me and him, and he was deteriorating and he was struggling breathing and all these things. I found him collapsed one night and it was terrifying. I was like, oh my God, I'm, obviously couldn't go to the hospital in the ambulance because of COVID. And I was like, I'm never going to see him again. It was terrifying. And I felt so out of my depth trying to care for him, not knowing what was happening. And it was then when I just thought, I'm not quite strong enough to deal with this by myself. I felt quite isolated. And that was when I reached out to my teammates in one of our Zooms and just kind of mentioned, like, I'm struggling a bit here. And kind of, I guess I learned kind of that's kind of makes, as a leader, can make you more authentic, because obviously everyone struggles, and it just made more meaningful conversations than other people said. And it kind of was like a safe space to kind of authentically say what was on your mind. And then those deeper conversations, like, I think that will make us stronger teammates and make life better, like having genuine connections with people, like rather than just like tick boxes of teammates becoming like friends. And I think
it feels more real, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I think it was from that I realized kind of the power of looking after your mental health, and joined Champion Health, which is a fantastic business.
So if there's anyone listening now who thinks, I might be struggling, Amy Conroy has done so well to get through what you said over the lockdown. What did you do? Like, did you have any routine that kind of helped keep you positive?
So kind of my dad ended up, when he was sick, and then he ended up having a massive life-saving, pretty scary operation kind of just before Tokyo and while we're out at the Paralympics. So I realized I kind of needed to kind of work on this mindfulness and journaling and type things, because otherwise, sometimes like the worries and the what ifs, even if they're not realistic, it can be quite hard to control sometimes. I've always struggled with mindfulness because I last about a minute and then think of every to-do list thing that I haven't done for the last year. So I think that really helped, journaling, talking about it. And kind of see the positive flip on things, and that he kind of had been taken on by this great hospital, and he was just trying to see the good side of it, I think helped a little bit. Obviously it's important to talk and grieve about problems, not to brush over it, but also at some point kind of draw a line under it and just kind of think, okay, I'm not going to have a pity party about this and whine about it. I'll do everything I can to kind of help him. But when it's kind of speaking about it to help and to release, and when I was kind of just whining about the situation, like, oh God, this is unfair. Oh, why now type thing, because that doesn't necessarily make you feel great or help.
No. Yeah, I mean, I found at least,
Sorry?
I was going to say, I found at least, like, certainly, even if it's like getting things written down, but out the table, so it's not on your mind. If I was to answer, I feel like, I'd do fairly similar. But while we're talking about advice, one thing I think would be quite interesting is, do you have any advice, or is there anything you'd say to your younger self when you first started your wheelchair basketball journey?
I guess we've already kind of touched on the being so self-conscious and kind of to have one leg type thing. So we've touched on that already. So that'd be one of the things. Advice to my younger self. I think kind of throughout the journey of GB for a long time, I was kind of like working really hard to get selected. And then I thought, okay, that's my dream. That's the elusive happiness. When I get there, I'll be happy. And then I was in the teams. Then it was kind of like, keep in the starting five, become one of the best players, win this medal, win. And there was always like the next dream. And so I think for a long time with GB, I think the balance of having the goal, but kind of enjoying the journey and not just waiting till you reach the goal before you'll be happy, like, which can apply to life, like not wait till you okay, when I have my own house, I'll be happy. When I have this job, when I get this promotion, that's when I'll be happy. As kind of, it's great to have dreams and to work for it, but the balance of kind of enjoying the journey. Because if all I did was focus on that, then it made it hurt so much more when we didn't get it. Because it's like, well, I've just focused everything on that. So I guess that would be kind of something I wish I'd realized earlier, maybe.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, that is really great advice. And I feel like that is potentially something that can be transferred not only to your younger self, but again, across the board. Because one thing we always do when we have guests on, I always ask, you know, if there were young athletes listening, whether they're able-bodied, whether they're para-athletes, young para-athletes, if there's any advice you'd give them across the board when it comes to their journeys, whether that's for them to reach a certain goal or just keeping them going. So I know it's a fairly similar question, but if you had to give something like kind of like across the board, or say, who knows, say you're having an open session and you know you've got some new younger players that are coming along and they think, you know what, I want to speak to Amy, you know, she's made it, it's like I want to know how I can somewhat get as far as I can personally. What would you say to them?
I guess if someone wants to like play at an elite level, I think manageable goals are good. Holding yourself accountable to those goals are important. Like if you don't reach kind of where you wanted, that's fine. But kind of look at yourself and be accountable for it and not kind of make excuses or blame anyone else. Having your why is quite important. So those times when, I don't know, maybe you've had a bad training session or game and you just want to sit on the sofa and watch Netflix and eat Monster Munch, like what is it that gets you off the sofa? Like to kind of go take free throws or whatever alone. You're not doing it for Instagram clout, but look what I'm doing. You're not doing it for your coach, like you're doing it by yourself, for you. So kind of that internal driver, I think, is quite important, just because if you want to be good, you're going to have to outwork others and put the work in. So to do that, having a strong why helps. But yeah, I'd say manageable goals and just trusting yourself and your hard work. I know when I wanted to be selected for years, I kept not getting selected. And then finally, when I got the call up, my first thought was, oh God, I'm not ready. Like, what? Yeah. This is what I've been dreaming of. And in that moment, that's my doubt to myself. So I think kind of when your opportunity is there, is just like go for it, back yourself. Not the whole like, I'll do it when I'm less tired. I'll do it when I'm, you know, finished reading this book on how to be a badass. When life at home is like less complicated, like if the opportunity is there, just go for it. As I think you don't tend to regret things that you go for. Or well, I went on Come Dine With Me and came last, so maybe some things you do. But in general, if you go for it, like be proud of yourself. Why not?
I love that. Well, I mean, I feel like we cannot progress without me asking what you cooked on Come Dine With Me.
I think we can. What I cooked, did you say?
Yeah.
Just to clarify, in my defense, it was like a Paralympians special. So I thought, well, everyone's going to be on here for fun. They're not going to be that good. I'll get away with a subpar spaghetti bolognese. But no, dead last. And there were 5 people, so it's 5th. But if I don't say that, I've got an award-winning bolognese, a 5th place award-winning spaghetti bolognese. Put that on tin. See, yeah.
Not many people can say that they've had their very own cooking featured on TV at least. So perhaps that's a silver lining that you can take.
Many people want to say that. Be like, oh, yeah, Wraps baby got back and I put parsnips in bolognese because I
panicked. Well, you mentioned Monster Munch and Netflix.
Yes.
I feel like, is that how you wind down? Because I feel like that would be an interesting insight, because obviously people that will have seen you, whether that's on television, whether that's in a stadium, will see you in athlete mode, competitive mode. How do you wind down? Like how do you just chill? Like what's the other side of Amy that people don't see?
I mean, I do really enjoy my sleep. I feel like I need 9 to 10 hours a night, however manageable that is. I guess if you ask people closest to me, they'd say I spend a lot of time in the bath, like sometimes 2, maybe even a 3-hour bath, I think was my record.
3 hours, blimey.
Rewatch some Dance Mums in there, snack, have a Nando's. I feel like that is a great way to wind down. So yeah, that is how I relax.
3-hour bath listening to watching Dance. I mean, it's slightly off topic, but my housemate's girlfriend used to watch that, and oh my god, it was not a popular watch in the house, let me tell you. So I'm surprised.
Yeah, yeah, oh, I love it. I think I've rewatched it. I think on my third time. It's terrible. I don't know what's wrong with me. I think
Third
it's
time round.
so awful, isn't it?
Is there any like Netflix series or TV series you could suggest? Because I feel I'm not going to come out of this advocating dance mums. I need something else. I need something else.
Maybe we could edit out the dance mums bit, just street cred, although you can't lose what you never had. Um, I feel, as I said, I'm on this London burnout. I feel like I haven't stopped to watch much. So I was going to ask you for recommendations. I'm
Oh,
halfway through
really?
games, late on the bandwagon for that one though.
Uh,
Christmas movies now because we're basically at Christmas, aren't we?
mm.
Can't
So
stop.
like, what have I watched? I mean, again, quite late. Obviously, I've seen Squid Game. That was quite good. But I feel like across the board, I think the one thing I'd always tell everyone to watch is Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So good. I feel like that's one of the rare TV series where as like the series go on, it just gets better and better. Because normally you think after a few, it starts to die down and then normally cut after 2 or 3. But that for 7 series, like it definitely just keeps you gripped.
I feel Breaking Bad, Prison Break,
Mm.
and um, maybe I feel like their Sons of Anarchy maybe are all like good
Yeah,
classic
top tier. Yeah.
blinders snaps.
Well, I think that would be nice to wrap up on, actually. I think we're slowly running out of time. But there you go, 3 elite TV shows that anyone listening can dive into. Well, thank you very much for coming on. I hope you enjoyed it. Is there any
Correct.
parting words?
Yeah, my party word to be to correct what you said 3 elite programs. You missed off Dance Mums. I think 4.
4. Okay,
Yeah.
4. I'll make sure that, yeah, might need a quick edit, but 4, there we go. But any serious parting words before we head off?
I guess just that if anyone does want to come down and try wheelchair basketball, like you do not need a disability just because it's so much fun. Like please do. We train Wednesday and Friday night 6 to 8, and it'd be amazing to have more people there.
By all means. So yeah, that will be held in Sportsdock, which is on the University of East London campus on the east of London. Can get there on the DLR pretty easily. So yeah, what great parting words. But yeah, that is that for the East London Sport Podcast. I hope you tune in next time to find out another great athlete coming on the show and talking to us. Thank you very much.